Esa cabra.
You're listening to Scotty and Andrew, and this is Fun with Horror.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Scotty.
And welcome to episode 107 of Fun with Horror, the movie review podcast in which two long-distance best friends stay in touch by taking turns, giving each other horror movies to watch and discuss.
Last episode, it was my choice, and I chose the pretty recent movie When Evil Lurks, directed by Demián Rugna and starring Ezequiel Rodríguez and Demián Salomón. And of course, as always, stay tuned to the end of this episode when all of us, even me, get to find out what Andrew is going to pick for our next movie. But until then, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. How are ya?
Happy. How was your Thanksgiving?
I'm so full.
I'm stuffed like a turkey.
Oh, you're acting like a turkey.
You are a turkey. Anyway, how are you, buddy?
I'm okay, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because we are nothing but honest. It is okay to not be okay.
That's true.
You and I talked last night a little bit, and I just got some unfortunate news.
Mm-hmm.
The strike is over, but I don't get to go back to work for a few months because there's no work yet. So
right.
That's kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer, and I'm sorry, dude. It sucks. It sucks.
And, I was wondering whether to mention it here because this is fun with horror, not depressing with horror. But you know what? I like to be open, and I like it. I thought it'd be nice to be honest with the audience and, everybody listening.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to be transparent, man. We're people. Everybody's people.
Yeah.
Things happen.
And it's okay to have periods where you're not 100%. And in fact, when you feel much lower than 100%.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I agree.
But you know what? As always, just being here and talking to you and doing this podcast it always cheers me up. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, just so you know, this is my last episode. So, just wanted to add some insult to injury. No, Scotty. No. I'm happy that we get to do this at least. I know it sucks, but it is always a joy when I get to see your just adorable face, man.
Yeah, yours too, buddy. You have a very nice haircut today, and I like it.
Thanks. Thanks, man.
One thing that's interesting about doing this podcast is we are 107 episodes in now.
Yeah.
And I still think of new ideas and things like, should we be doing this differently?
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting because around episode 40 or so, when we would have those thoughts, we would actually experiment with those changes.
Right. Yeah.
But when you're this far in, when you're 107 episodes and, over 2 years,
right,
you start to think maybe we should just keep it the way it is. It's a little too late to change things. As an example, one thing that people sometimes forget is that you and I are long distance best friends.
Correct.
We don't talk all the time. It's not like we talk every day.
Right. No, it's true.
This whole game that we play with the movies where we take turns picking a movie, this is a thing we came up with to keep in touch and to talk every week or 2 weeks or however often. And this is when we kind of talk.
Right. No, it's true. We do not talk throughout the week. I refuse to talk to you, actually, because It's more fun just to do on the podcast. So,
Oh, wow. I don't know how to feel about that.
I'm kidding. Oh my gosh. I'm going to get hate mail. Our first email.
Yeah.
Be hate mail.
Hey, if we get mail at all, that'd be nice. Even if it's hate mail. Send us hate mail, people. Yeah, like one thing I was thinking of was like maybe putting in a sound effect of a phone ringing, like you're calling somebody, and then another person picking up, and then whoever starts off the episode, like if I was calling you, you'd be like, hello? And I'd be, hey, buddy. You know, just to drive home the whole thing that we are long distance friends that don't talk all the time except for on the podcast.
I like that. I think that's cute. That's charming.
I think it's cute, but it's 107 episodes in. I mean,
we'll get that new listener that's like, this is cute, and then listen to the old ones and go, where's the phone? What?
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
Did they put this in at 107 episodes? What?
Why? In other news, buddy, I've been reading a book, or I actually finished a book.
What did you finish?
I read a collection of Edgar Allan Poe stories.
Ooh, cool, man.
And it's mainly because I've been wanting to watch Mike Flanagan's The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yes, sir.
But I like to read the book. If there's a book beforehand, I like to read it. And first I thought, hey, I'm just going to read that story. It's like 20 pages long.
Right.
And then I heard that the Fall of the House of Usher series actually references a number of Edgar Allan Poe's stories. And I have never read Poe. So I wanted to read a good selection of stories. And it turns out that there is a book that is actually stories that were inspired, or stories that inspired the Netflix show.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I think Flanagan had a hand in helping to curate which stories were in the book. But today in 2023, Edgar Allan Poe is not easy to read.
Yeah. That's fair, man.
I'm very glad that I finally read Edgar Allan Poe after all these years. But yeah, he's got a prose, man.
Yeah.
He's got a whole story where it's a guy describing himself finding this cottage in the woods in these mountains. It's like 6 pages of him painstakingly and poetically describing what he's seeing. And that's the story. There's no story. There's no plot. It's just Edgar Allan Poe using his prose to describe what this guy is seeing, this cottage. And people think it's brilliant. And sure, but it was very interesting to read and get to the end of it and going like, that was it.
Right. It almost sounds like a lesson in like you'd have at school. Like, here's how we can describe in our short stories. Like, read this, and then that's examples of describing. Like, I don't feel like I would enjoy it. I'd be like, I'm learning something of how to write.
There's one part in the story though. Like, the guy mentions, as he's looking at the cottage, he mentions a big dog that he sees.
Okay. And
as he goes up to the front door, there's like one sentence where the dog starts charging up to him, but then nothing happens. And I think he pets the dog, and that's it. And he goes inside, and I'm like, oh, here's where the story starts. But no, then he describes the inside of the cottage.
Oh, no.
And then that's it.
It's great that people like it, but that sounds a little like torture to me. I don't know if I could read that. I couldn't do it.
We are getting so much hate mail from Edgar Allan Poe fans after this.
Good. Hey, you know what, though? I will say this. The Telltale Heart is a pretty great short story.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
I think I'd have to think about it, but I did like The Telltale Heart.
That's a fun one. That's a good little story.
Yeah.
So don't send us too much hate mail.
Not too much. I also like The Cask of Amontillado. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Not read that one.
You know what? The popular ones were the most interesting ones, which makes sense. That's why they're popular.
Sense. Yeah. The Raven, I'm assuming.
It was okay.
Good. Oh, okay. I feel like that one is one I hear about.
You know what? It was at the end of the book. It was the last story, and it was like this poem.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why is this poem 4 pages long? Jeez. I just want to go to my next book. You know what I'm reading now, though, buddy?
What?
Dark Harvest.
Oh, right on. I forgot that was a book. I keep forgetting.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
awesome.
interesting to read the differences between the book and the movie.
Man, because we've seen the movie. You and I both have seen the movie.
Yeah, we should talk about it sometime.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a podcast one or not, but if we do, I would like that book spoiled.
I think it might be a podcast.
I think it might be. Yeah,
because I would like to pick it as a podcast.
Okay, that's fair.
But not today.
Yeah,
because today we're doing When Evil Lurks. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Está encarnado, está embichado hace rato ya. Estábamos esperando a que viniesen a hacerse cargo de él.
Es mía la culpa. Pensé que rezando íbamos a poderle curar. Le hemos prendido su velita al santo.
La iglesia murieron, doña. Murieron.
Alrighty, friends. We are about to spoil When Evil Lurks, which you can find on Shudder if you haven't already watched it. But
at the time of this recording.
At the time of this recording, yes. Hopefully,
if you're listening to this sometime late in 2024,
that's
hello. First of all, hello to the future.
Welcome.
But it may not be on Shudder anymore. So
that's true. At this moment in time, it's on Shudder. So, but hopefully, I have a feeling a lot of you have watched it because you now want to hear what we have to say about it. So, but if you have not watched it and you don't want spoilers, pause right now, go watch the movie and then come back. But if you're all right with spoilers, stick around because we are going to talk anything and everything about When Evil Lurks. But buddy, I got to ask you, are you ready for a 3-minute recap?
I kind of don't think so.
Okay. Well, if you do go over 3 minutes, I have a friend of mine that has we'll just call it a possessed friend in the back of his pickup, and he will leave it at your doorstep if you do not do this in 3 minutes. So, heads up.
Can I shoot him?
I wouldn't. People that haven't seen this don't get that reference yet.
You already given the spoiler warning, so
I know.
I can spoil it now.
You can do whatever you want, buddy.
She hits herself in the face with an axe.
That's true. That does happen.
Spoilers.
Oh, here we go. Whenever you are ready, my friend, you have approximately 3 minutes. So go ahead.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
All right. Pedro and Jimmy are brothers, and the movie opens with Pedro hearing some gunshots out in the woods at night. In the morning, they go check it, and there is a person that's been torn apart, just completely slaughtered, that leads them to Mary Elena's house, where they find that her brother is a grotesque, pus-filled bag of person, and he is evidently possessed. He is a rotten. They go to the local landowner, and he doesn't know what to do. So he goes, and in a fit of anger, he almost shoots the guy, but you're not supposed to shoot possessed people in this movie. So they put him in a pickup truck in a very gruesome scene. They drive him out, but when they get to where they're going, guess what? He's not in the truck anymore. He fell out somewhere. Oh, my God. So now things are bad. They go back home. Pedro and Jimmy end up going to his ex's house where he's evidently not supposed to be. There's a restraining order. And this is where things get kind of crazy because this is not your normal possession movie, folks. This is a movie where possession seems to be passed around kind of like a virus. There are rules to this possession. And if you break any of these rules, guess what? Things are going to get possessed. People are going to get possessed. Animals go crazy. And that's what happens at this house. Next thing you know, dog attacks this little girl and takes her out the house. The new husband of the ex-wife, I have all their names and we'll talk about them later, but he goes after the dog and the girl. He shoots the dog. The girl comes back, evidently unharmed, but no, she's not, because she's brought back as like a zombie possessed person. I don't know. So Pedro and Jimmy, they take his two sons in the car. They get them in the car. His one son is severely autistic. As they start to drive away, the husband, Leo, comes back and slams into the wife. So then they're going. They're trying to find ice cream for the kid. They have a plan to go into the city. They pick up their mother, who gets in the back seat with the boy. I think it's Santino and Jair. And then they end up at this woman's house who Jimmy knows, who used to be a cleaner for possessed people. This is a thing here. Possession is like a well-known thing in this area. Whatever. Anyway, so she knows all the rules, and we'll get into the rules later. I'm not going to go over them right now. She says that Jair, the autistic son, is possessed. The mother, who was destroyed by a truck, ends up coming back and taking the son. Jimmy goes after her and the son, Santino, and Mirta and Pedro go to try and find the original Rotten, the big bulbous guy, so that they can kill him before he gives birth to a physical manifestation of a demon. Jimmy finds the mother and the son Santino, and she is carrying Santino and digging into his brains and eating his brains. Jimmy slams his car. He runs into her with his car and slams her into a tree. And that's kind of the end of that little story. Mirta and Pedro end up at this school where there's all these kids, and the kids are telling them that the Rotten is somewhere else, but the kids are lying, because no, the Rotten is underneath the stage of the auditorium in the school with all these dead adults. And as Mirta's trying to set up this equipment to get the demon out of the Rotten, Pedro doesn't follow anything that she tells him to do, and he messes up, and the kids kill Mirta. And then all of a sudden, Pedro kills the Rotten. He bashes the Rotten's head in, which you're not supposed to do. And what happens? He gives birth to this bloody kid who is a physical manifestation of a demon, the Antichrist. I don't know. But then the kid walks off into the fields, bloody, after leaving a mark on Pedro's forehead. The movie ends. Pedro goes back. They take Jair, his autistic son, back to his house. Evidently, I don't know, his mother is dead, but Jair is eating green apple ice cream and starts coughing. Pedro comes up to help him and starts to pull what turns out to be hair, bloody hair, out of Jair's mouth and throat. And then the next thing, Jair spits out his grandmother's little charm necklace, which means he ate his grandmother, Pedro and Jimmy's mother. Pedro goes outside, screams in anguish at everything that's gone wrong, and the movie ends.
Well done, buddy. That is, you did it just under 3 minutes, but that is that's a movie to try and explain, dude. You did great, but that is a tough one, man. It's a wild movie. It's very tough to do. I actually practiced this a couple days ago. Yeah. And even then I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. You hit the beats, man. You hit what we needed to talk about. I mean, I think it was great, but yeah, we'll have a lot to discuss. Yeah, we do. Okay, first and foremost, buddy, I think we all want to know, what'd you think of the movie? I think When Evil Lurks is a really, really effective, well-crafted, disturbing horror movie. I think it's probably one of the best horror movies made this year, but I say that knowing full well that I do have some frustrations with it. Mm. Even though the frustrations are spawned by characters doing what their characters are supposed to do, but they were still frustrating to me, and we'll talk about that. That said, this movie is one of the roughest movies I've seen this year, and actually probably in a while. Mm. But I thought it was
incredibly well done. And I think it's a great movie. What about you, buddy? I threw this one on you. I had seen this movie before I picked it.
Right. Yeah.
And I was, after doing a couple of really fun movies, I was kind of nervous throwing this one at you. So what did you think, my friend?
It is a really good movie. I'm not going to lie. It is a good movie. It's made well, like you said. I mean, everything you said, I agree with. I have some quibbles, but it's intense. It is dark. It is bleak, but it is a well-crafted movie and a really interesting way to do this type of movie, which we'll talk about. I was impressed by some of the uniqueness in this movie. Originality, I guess would be the right word. But yeah. So yeah, I liked it. I mean, it was a good movie. It was well made for sure.
Yeah. By the way, now our listeners are using the word quibbles.
Yeah. That's the best, man.
I love it. And I started it. Maybe when we're like a world famous podcast, although people do listen to us in Thailand, I think.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Hey, you know what? If you're international and you're listening to us,
yes,
we love you.
We do love you.
That's amazing.
It's so cool, dude.
I love seeing that we're like 20th in like Venezuela or something, you know?
Right. It's awesome.
But anyway, I'm going to start in with what frustrated me in this movie.
Please, yeah.
And I mentioned it in my 3-minute recap.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it does frustrate me at the end, even though it's within his character to do so. I think the school sequence in this movie is great.
Yeah.
But Pedro annoyed the hell out of me because at this point in the movie, I felt that within his character, he knew what was going on. I felt that he should have absolutely listened to Mirta and done what she said.
Yep.
And it frustrated me to no end that she says, don't go get the axe. It's been proven already that these children are liars.
Right. Yes.
That they are influenced by the demon or demons.
Right.
And he says, the little girl says, there's a red axe in the office. And he listens to her, even though Mirta says, don't go get the axe. And guess what? That leads to Mirta's death.
Yeah.
And that leads to the physical demon being born out of the grotesque, out of the rotten.
I have that same note. I put Pedro was so dumb to get the axe. Not happy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the first time that he almost didn't listen to Mirta. He also attacked the little girl when Mirta told him not to hurt anything, not to hurt anybody that's possessed.
Yep.
And that was frustrating.
I agree. I'm with you 100% on that one. I thought it was not ridiculous. Yeah, ridiculous. I was like, really? After all this?
Yeah.
Really? No, I agree.
I love the idea of the movie ending with a bummer, with the fact that evil does win in this movie and evil is born.
Right.
I like that. I don't like that evil is born because this guy's a dumbass.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
And I liked him for most of the movie. I thought some of his decisions were interesting.
Right.
But I still liked his character until that moment, until the school. And then I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I would get it if he knew about, not even, I don't know if I would even get it, but if he had known about his son being dead and having his brains eaten out. He didn't know that at that point, I don't think either.
Yeah.
I could see him, though, having like a reaction of just like, I'm so mad, I'm going crazy, I'm going to do whatever right now. But he didn't know that. This whole time, he's just with Marta? What was her name? Mirta, excuse me. So he doesn't even know that his other kid has died. So,
yeah.
I mean, he just, I don't know. I'm with you, man. It was very frustrating. It's really frustrating.
On the other side of the coin, that's what frustrated me. I want to talk about the brilliance of this movie.
Yeah.
Because not much else really frustrated me in this movie. It was just that right there. And it's a big one because it leads to evil being born into the world.
Yep.
But The tension in this movie is so perfectly done by Demián Rugna, who directed and wrote this movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I can't think of another movie where I was as on the edge of my couch. I was gripping my pillow in my hand at the simple act of a little girl walking around a dog.
I knew immediately something was going to happen. And I did the same thing. I was like, please don't, please don't, please don't, please don't, please don't.
I didn't say please don't because I knew it was going to happen.
I knew it was too, but I was just like, oh, I don't need this. I don't need this.
It was such an amazing scene because Pedro comes into this house.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately there's tension because it's his ex-wife's house. We find out later that, yeah, he has some kind of restraining order. So he's not even supposed to be there. When the husband, Leo, tries to tell him not to come in, Pedro just busts his way in.
Right.
And there's just all this commotion going on.
And he's stripping down. He's getting naked.
Butt naked.
Butt naked, yes.
But as he's doing that, as he's got the clothes on the floor, the edit specifically shows the dog sniffing the clothes.
Yeah.
And at that moment, if you've been paying attention to the movie and the rules,
yes,
you know that that's not good.
Yeah.
And then the way the dog just sits in the hallway, just looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
And both of the kids at one moment or another are around the dog. What's the name of the dog, by the way? Roger. The dog's name is Roger. But yeah, when little Vicky, the little girl, is just walking in circles around the dog, I was terrified. I knew something horrible was about to happen. The movie exceeded any expectation of what I thought was going to happen.
It was crazy. That scene is crazy. Tell them what happens, because it's...
Well, I mean, the camera's behind the dog and the little girl, and you just see her walking in circles. Then the camera cuts to the argument that's happening in the kitchen. Then the camera cuts back, and there's a moment where the little girl is on the right side of the dog, and the dog is just looking at her for a second. And then, out of nowhere, the dog just immediately just attacks her face.
Yeah.
And then the little boy, Santino, is sitting there on the stairs. He's just come down the stairs and he sees this happening and he looks under the table slowly. And as if it wasn't bad enough what we already saw, the dog is sitting there flinging the girl back and forth like a rag doll.
Right.
And it's like got her by the neck. And then Leo, the dad, not our hero Pedro, but the girl's dad,
right,
comes over because Santino's yelling and he looks under the table. And the dog rushes at him with Vicky in its jaws and runs out the door with her. And you're like, what the hell?
It's crazy. I will say I did appreciate, I mean, you never want to see a kid get chewed up by a dog, but I did appreciate that you don't see her face. I mean, the hair covers everything. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, that's okay. Like I can handle that because it's not real. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I appreciated that. And then when they run out, you're just like, excuse me, what? What just happened? It's an insane scene. It's crazy to see, but there's so much chaos in that moment that my anxiety was at a high.
That's the perfect word. My anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes. Which my anxiety was kind of high at many moments in this movie.
Yeah.
But when you bring a little girl into it, a little kid, and then let's just talk about it real quick. There's been some manufactured controversy recently online. It's kind of silly, but it's spurred by the teaser for Terrifier 3 about killing kids in horror movies. And I think we've mentioned it in horror when a horror movie has the guts to actually kill a kid.
Right.
How do you feel about it?
I usually look away. I understand that it's a horror movie, and so no one is safe. But there's been a few movies where even, I'm not going to say one, but I will say we did a review on one where a kid didn't die, but did get hurt. I'm doing a motion to Scotty as he knows what I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it, to be honest. So I'm not going to complain about it or, do that manufacturing blah, blah, blah. But I'm not a fan of it. I usually look away. I'm like, even with this one, I was like, oh, no, no, no.
But are you against horror movies doing that?
No, I mean, I get it. But I would say, like I said, I don't like it. Like I don't enjoy watching kids get killed in movies.
No, of course not. Nobody does.
Right.
It's not like
right.
we're rooting for the kid to get destroyed.
Right.
But I will say, when a horror movie does it correctly, it raises the stakes in that horror movie.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
You honestly feel at that moment that nothing is safe. Nothing is sacred.
Right. That's true.
And
that's very true.
But it's got to be done well. I think in When Evil Lurks, it was done very well.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, you know that that's not a real little girl, that the dog is doing, whatever.
Right.
And then you get to the part where the mom, Sabrina, comes and takes Santino.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, I did not expect her to be walking down the road, digging her hand into a dead Santino's head. And this is like 7-8-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And she's just digging her hand into his head and eating his brains.
Ew, that was crazy. I've never seen anything like that in a movie.
Me neither.
That was something new for me, man. Oh.
It's a fake Santino.
Right. Oh, yeah.
In fact, Rugna talked about this in an article. The government has regulations on what you can and can't do with children in a movie.
Oh, okay.
For instance, he was not allowed to put any type of fake blood on a child actor.
Oh, interesting.
So any blood you see when it's the real children, the actors, is fake. It's CG.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If there's any at all.
I don't even remember there being any on them, because even after she gets kind of mauled by the dog,
yes,
she looks fine when
she comes back. When she comes back.
Yeah, exactly. There's no scratches, nothing. She just looks back to her normal self.
And when the dog is shaking her under the table, that's obviously a fake doll.
Right. Oh, yeah.
There's definitely blood there. And when Santino is getting his brains eaten, it's obviously a fake kid. It's not
right.
It's not a real actor with prosthetics or anything.
No, for sure. It's some kind of doll. I mean,
Yeah, really well done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, they did a really good job on that.
Good Lord.
Yeah. That scene.
So, okay, well, we talked about that. This is something I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
And it's a slight quibble of mine.
Okay.
The movie comes up. There's 7 rules that the movie comes up with. This is an area where these possessions are well known.
Right.
In fact, there are fail-safes in place in case this happens. The police know about this.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the movie is about how the bureaucracy of the government fails these people.
Right.
The police take a year. They sit on their butts for a year before sending a cleaner to Maria Elena's house to clean this demon from Uriel, her son. And that's something that the movie makes a point of. And I'll tell you something, buddy.
Lay it on me.
Demián Rugna got the idea for this movie from a series of news stories about pesticides in his native Argentina causing widespread health issues.
Oh, wow.
That's what this movie kind of is about.
Wow.
He saw these stories where these pesticides were being put on all these plants. There were no regulations. The government was failing these people. They were getting cancer. Their children were getting cancer. So there's a point to the children getting killed in this movie.
Right.
Because that's what was happening with these pesticides in these stories he saw.
Dude. Wow. I did not know that. That's wild.
I didn't either until I looked up an article and I found out that's what gave him the idea of the movie. But getting back to what I was saying, there's 7 rules
Right.
to these possessions that you're supposed to follow.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to turn on any electric lights, number 1.
Right.
Number 2, do not stay close to animals because animals go crazy.
Yep.
Number 3, don't take anything that was close to the possessed.
Right.
Number 4, don't name the demons by their names.
That's right. Yep.
Which is funny because the grandmother is telling little Santino these rules in the car.
Yep.
And then she starts to say Lucifer, Azrael.
Right.
And then autistic son Jair, who is sitting in the car with his head against the window, starts muttering Azrael, Azrael, just saying the name over and over again. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Number 5, do not harm them.
Right.
Number 6, do not shoot them with firearms.
Right.
Gunpowder is bad, evidently.
Yeah.
And then number 7, which we don't find out until later in the movie, the grandmother only lists 6 in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But then we find out from Mirta later that number 7 is don't be afraid to die.
Right. That's right.
Which seems to be expanded into just don't be afraid, because the demons, much like the religious demons in movies like The Exorcist,
Mm-hmm.
the demons know what you're most afraid of.
Right.
And if they can't possess you, if they can't come into your mind and take it over, then they use those fears to manipulate you.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So what did you think about the rules? Did you think it was too many? Did you think, I don't know, I kind of had this little quibble in my mind that 7 rules just seems like a lot for a movie.
I mean, that's fair. I think I was fine with 7. Yeah, I don't think it really bothered me. I don't really think I had any issues with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
don't think so. Sorry.
Well, fine then. So what we're saying is 7 is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect number of rules. Good. The cinematography in this movie,
Yeah, dude.
gorgeous.
Yep. Agreed.
For a movie like this, the lighting and the cinematography was just absolutely breathtaking at times. Right at the beginning, when Pedro and Jimmy leave their house to go search for the source of the gunshots,
Right.
there's just a beautiful overhead shot of them walking through the fields.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, oh, this is that kind of movie. Okay. This is going to be a hard to watch movie, but with beautiful, beautiful photography.
Totally. That's exactly what it was.
Cinematographer's name was Mariano Suárez.
Right on, man.
Hasn't done much else, but yeah.
Well, hopefully he does more after this. I hope this does get some gigs, because it was very pretty.
Yeah. Demián Rugna now, have you heard of the movie Terrified? Not Terrifier, but Terrified.
Terrified. I feel like I have. I want to say I've seen it maybe on Shudder or something.
I think it's been on Shudder.
I'm going to look at the cover of it real quick as I'm talking to you. Oh, yes, I have. I've seen that. Yep.
And every time somebody would mention it, I would wonder if they were actually talking about Terrifier. And actually, I haven't seen the movie, but our friend Stanley reviewed it on his YouTube channel, Stanny Boy Reviews.
Yeah, buddy.
He reviewed Terrified at one point, and I remember I watched the very beginning of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing because I hadn't seen the movie.
Right.
But yeah.
I think I saw someone posted something about it relatively recently on Facebook as well, and said gave it a very high rating. And so I have heard of it before, and it seems like people have enjoyed it. So I'm curious about it, especially after watching what we just watched.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see that. I want to see anything else that Demián Rugna does in the future.
Yeah, I agree.
One note that was interesting is that this is not a religious possession movie.
Right.
There's no priest. There's cleaners.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't do exorcisms with a Bible. They have these contraptions that I don't know how they work.
Well, we never really get to see them work.
Yeah.
Anytime we have an option or an opportunity, it doesn't work.
Which is kind of cool because it leaves a lot to our imagination.
Right. Yeah.
we see Mirta in the truck with Pedro, and she's got this disc-like thing that I don't know, it turns and stuff, and she's putting that together. The only other thing we know is that she needs to see the nape of the neck of the possessed.
That's right. Yep.
Because Uriel, the rotten, is inside this stage, this wooden stage, with all these dead people. He's buried under these dead people, and Mirta is telling Pedro to bring him out. And we all know how pretty much impossible that is, because this Uriel has blown up into this grotesque, huge person.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, she's supposed to slide this pointed metal object into the nape of his neck, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
So I think it's kind of cool that we have no idea how these instruments are really supposed to work, but we can use our imagination, I guess.
Yeah, it works, man. It's a choose your own adventure kind of thing, I guess. I don't know, but I like it. I like the contraption. I thought it was kind of cool, and I'm curious if there was any symbols or anything on it that meant something to the director. I have no idea, but I thought it was interesting and cool to look at. So, yeah, I would have liked to have seen it work, because that would have been cool. But hey, I'll use my imagination.
How did you feel about the whole idea of possession in this movie? How it kind of seems to spread like a interesting virus type thing.
I liked it. So this is so I didn't, because I know you mentioned it, and maybe it is this way, but you mentioned kind of like this area has been known, or, kind of understands this sickness, this possession. I almost saw this as like a different world than ours, like where this is everywhere. This is just like a thing that happens. And so either way, I like that idea of it, that it is known. I like when that happens, where everyone's in on this thing. No one sounds crazy because they're talking about it, and everyone's like, no, that's not real. And then it happens, like, oh, you were right. I like that everyone is in on this. And I like that it is like this plague, and it's really creepy, and there are rules. I thought it was a cool way to do this possession movie. It's totally different, totally unique. I liked it. I thought it was kind of a cool, interesting way to do it.
Yeah. And like what you were just saying, it's not that people don't believe that it exists. It's more that it happens so seldom that, it's probably, the guy's probably just sick.
Right.
Like the police don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because first of all, they don't believe Pedro. Pedro evidently has a history with the police.
Right.
It has to do with somebody dying, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember something like that. Yeah.
There seems to be a backstory of him plugging up something with gas.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mirta brings it up to Jimmy, and Jimmy says that people just like to talk. It's a story that Pedro's ex-wife made up to get custody of the kids.
Yep. I remember.
But you kind of feel like it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he does have some history with some people. So definitely he's had some things happen.
Another interesting thing, jumping into the relationships between all the characters, there's an interesting relationship between Pedro's brother, Jimmy, and Mirta.
Yeah.
Mirta is obviously a good bit older than Jimmy.
Yeah.
And Jimmy had a romance with her when she was younger and he was younger, but how young?
Oh, yeah.
If you listen to the dialogue, you kind of start to get the feeling that he was underage and she was a teacher in a school.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But here's the other thing I caught, because I did watch this movie 2 times. And even my friend Michael, when I told him I was about to rewatch the movie, he's like, why would you rewatch that movie? And he thought it was brilliant too. He thought it was a great movie.
Nice. That's awesome.
But it is not easy to watch.
No.
But one thing I notice is, okay, so they've left the chaos that happens at Sabrina and Leo's house. Pedro saw Sabrina die. He saw the truck ram her into the house.
Right.
But then she calls on the phone.
Right.
she's talking to him saying that she wants her children back.
Mhm.
And we as the audience and we all know that this is the demon talking.
Right.
But the demon is bringing up stuff from the past. And as a demon, we know that demons lie.
Right.
But we also know that they bring up the truth to manipulate people.
Yeah.
And one thing she says to him is that she cheated on him, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
She says something like, I cheated on you. Okay, then now let's jump to Jimmy
Mm-hmm.
finding Sabrina eating Santino's brains.
Right.
I just love to keep talking about that.
Right.
He slams her into a tree.
Right.
And then he lifts his head up. He's bleeding because he hit his steering wheel and all this. But she's trapped in the car, but I don't know how to describe it, but she's sitting inside the windshield. She's in the dashboard on the hood of the truck.
Right.
Upside down. Her head is upside down. She's got a hole in her forehead that's just leaking fluids.
Yeah.
Brain fluids and stuff. And she says to him, Jaime, you told me you loved me.
Mm-hmm.
So did she cheat on Pedro with Jimmy?
Yeah, makes it sound like it.
Man.
Yeah, dude. And then it makes you wonder if could that be his son that she was eating? Because he does run her over. He's mad.
He is mad. I did have that thought myself.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's a lot that's left to the imagination. And
right.
Sometimes that's not good in a movie. Sometimes you feel like stuff was left on the cutting room floor.
Right.
With this movie, I feel like you're not really supposed to know the entire backstory of all these characters.
Yeah.
It's semi-important to know that there is a backstory and that there are, I don't know, layers to these different characters. But yeah. And that, although if we knew stuff like that, maybe it would have helped to understand Pedro's reluctance to listen to Mirta at the end.
Right. But yeah, even so, I just think that was just a moment where they needed Pedro out of there so that Mirta could die. You know what I mean? It almost just felt like it was like how do we get him out? Let's just go get an axe. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I totally agree. That part was frustrating.
Let's talk about some good things, though. Or let's talk about some scenes. First of all, I wanted to say the beginning of the movie, the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And different scenes in the movie. All I could think of was how bad Pedro's beard must have reeked of cigarette smoke.
Oh, totally, dude. Yeah.
I apologize to any smokers out there. It's just I'm a non-smoker. I don't like cigarettes. And at the very beginning, he's in his house and he's just smoking this little short butt of a cigarette. And you just see the smoke wafting around his beard. And
I will say, too, in that opening scene, they did one of my pet peeves in horror movies.
What's that?
Because it's little and nothing even happened from it. But it was a moment where I was like, ugh. When they leave the house, they leave the door wide open. And I was like, you just heard gunshots? You're out to go look at where those gunshots came from. You're not going to close the door? Like, it bugs me every time I watch a movie. Even any movie, it doesn't even matter the genre. I'm like, close your door. Like, if you're going out, just close it. Oh, but like I said, nothing happened from it. But I really thought something was. I thought because we see them leave the house, they kind of walk towards the camera. The house is in the background. I really thought, because I didn't know anything about this movie, something was going to enter that house or go in. So I'm sitting there watching the house going like, I'm waiting. Something's going in. It didn't. But still, I'm just like, close your door.
You know, it didn't bother me in this movie. Because number one, I figured they're used to leaving their door open. They're in the middle of the country.
Right.
Nothing ever happens. Plus, they have a freaking shotgun, right?
True.
So I wasn't really worried about them. So, yeah, I understand. And if this is a foreign movie. So,
right. Oh, yeah.
And so that's another thing. It's culture, different culture, kind of like we've talked about in a couple of other movies that we've done that are foreign films where they just have a different culture.
Right.
Certain things that would bother me in an American movie
Mhm.
Don't bother me in these because maybe that's just how it is.
That's fair. Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, they had a shotgun. I don't think they were worried about a pistol. Plus, he counted the bullets, so I think he knew how many bullets had been fired.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Still, though, I don't know. Even if I hear bullets, I'm closing my door.
You close that door, buddy.
I will.
So you didn't see any of this movie? You didn't see any trailers or anything before
Nothing.
seeing this movie?
The only thing I saw was just scrolling through Shudder, seeing the cover of
The
her
poster.
with the axe. That's it. That's all I've seen. So I knew nothing about this.
So how'd you like the scene where you first see Uriel?
Oh man, I was like, whoa! It brought me back to another movie where people walk into a room with someone on a bed.
7?
Yep, exactly.
You can say 7.
Okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to ruin anything. Speaking of 7 rules. Oh. Anyway, it just reminded me of that moment in that movie. Same thing where you see something, go, oh gosh, not what I was expecting in that bed.
And when anybody goes into the room, they make a motion like how bad it smells.
Yes. Oh, yes, dude.
But then you realize that Uriel's mom and his little brother, I think it's his little brother, who knows?
Yeah.
They both are used to living with that smell, so they don't really, it doesn't faze them. Like she's sitting there wiping pus that's coming out of his mouth.
So gross.
And all he's got is underwear on, and his like front of his underwear is like fluorescent yellow colored. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, it's so gross, dude.
It's so well done. So well done.
Oh yeah. Great effects, great makeup, great design. But yeah, just pus and goop coming out. So bad.
And like this movie likes to do, when you're already uncomfortable as all hell.
Yeah.
The movie's like, let's make you even more uncomfortable by saying that they want to move this person.
Gosh.
And then they're carrying him out with the sheet that he's in, which is soaked with just bile and bodily fluids and grossness. And when they get outside, oh my God, when the sheet rips and he falls onto the ground.
Dude.
And then Ruiz, the landowner, is like, get a sheet, get a blanket. Luckily, we are spared having to watch them put Uriel in this blanket and into the back of the truck. We see the tail end of them putting him into the truck.
Yep. Oh, man.
What an amazing scene.
It was, though. It really was. And it's just, again, another chaotic scene where you're just like, you don't even know what's happening. It's just so much.
And it looked good. The special effects, the practical effects were amazing.
I completely agree. As you know, practical effects are my thing. So this one was very good.
And the design of Uriel looked incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude.
But that also leads me to the pacing of this movie, which was also fantastic.
I agree.
The movie did not take any time to get up and going.
No. Gosh, the first thing you see is, 2 minutes in, I feel like you see that body chopped in half or ripped in half.
Which was another interesting thing I noticed in my rewatch. Is that Jimmy and Pedro aren't really that fazed by seeing half of a body in one place and then pieces of the body in other places. Like they're curious about it and they're wondering what happened. Oh, maybe a puma mauled him.
Right. Yeah.
But they're not like disgusted at it.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was interesting to me. Like, it's interesting. Most of the time you see a character, one of the characters at least go like,
right. Yeah.
Like they're going to puke, but no, these guys are, maybe it's a normal thing seeing a human body massacred like that.
I will say too, when you see that hand, kind of the first shot, you see the hand and then it scrolls down and it's like lopped. That was effective. That looked so real and so gnarly. They did a great job on that.
Amazing special effects.
Yeah. Yep. Man.
So the only thing I saw of this movie, and the first trailer, the only trailer I ever saw, was a very creepy moment in the movie, and it's a moment that's fantastic, but I often kind of forget it because of everything else that happens in the movie.
Okay.
But Ruiz and his wife are at home, and after he has tried to move Uriel and the body has fallen out of the truck somewhere, and he goes back home, and his wife, his pregnant wife, and him are sitting at the table, and then she goes outside and she calls him out, and they're looking at this group of goats in this pen, and she's pointing at it, and then Ruiz points at it. And I love the way this scene was done.
Yeah.
Because the camera shows all these goats, and it keeps showing these shots of the goats. And as the audience, we can't tell.
Right.
There's no goat that's standing out more than any others.
Right.
No idea which goat that they're supposedly pointing at.
That's true.
But they can see and they can tell which goat is possessed. And Ruiz shoots his shotgun into the sky. All of the goats scatter except for one.
Yeah.
And that goat, oh my God. It just looks like a normal goat. It's not even a really creepy ass goat like the one in The Witch. It's like a normal goat, but it just stands there. Ruiz points his shotgun at the goat, and the goat walks up and puts its forehead right on the shotgun.
Yeah, dude.
At the end of the barrel. And his wife goes to pick up an axe. And she tells Ruiz, do not shoot it. Don't shoot it. You'll release the demon. Don't shoot it.
Yeah.
And Ruiz has been told by the demon inside Uriel that to please shoot me, kill me.
Right.
You'll release me, and the first thing I'll do is go into the unborn child inside your wife's belly.
Right.
But at this moment, Ruiz is so freaked out. And he's so freaked out that the moment the goat like goes, and it startles Ruiz into shooting the goat in the head.
Yep.
Which is also actually really well done. It didn't bother me. It's an animal death, but for some reason it didn't bother me in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But then you see Ruiz's shocked face as he's standing there. And out of nowhere, an axe comes out from into frame and just slams into his face.
Yeah, dude.
His wife has killed him.
Ooh.
And I don't know if she was already possessed or if that's what possessed her right there.
Right.
I think as soon as he shot the goat,
That's
the
what I
demon
thought.
flew into his wife.
Yeah. That's what my guess was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Oh, so after he's down, she kneels on the ground with the axe facing her, like the poster of the movie, and just starts hitting herself in the face over and over with the sharp end of the axe. It is crazy. I just was like, no, stop. No, stop. No.
Please stop.
Please don't. Oh, that scene. Oh my gosh. Again, a moment. I mean, we've seen people die in some crazy ways in movies, but this was new to me. Just seeing that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, because it's not as bloody as I thought it would be, but it's relentless. Like that moment, you're just like, it just keeps happening. It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
I mean, I hate to say it, but a small part of me as I'm watching it the second time is thinking, did she really chop deep enough to kill herself? It doesn't seem like the axe goes deep enough into her face and into her head for her to die. But
Right on.
I guess so. I guess she did.
I like that's where you went, buddy. Wow.
Are there any other scenes that you can think of that stood out to you?
Not necessarily. Well, yeah. There was a couple things I really liked about this movie. So again, the possession aspect was interesting because, oh man, the son that has autism.
Jair,
thank you. I like that the demon does go in him, but it can't figure it out. And I thought that was a cool concept where it was like, I'm not used to this brain. This is something new to me. I can't figure it out. But I love that they show his fingers and they're all contorted and his toes,
Yes.
everything's contorted. So it shows that he's possessed, but the demon can't figure it out. And I thought that was a really cool concept. I thought that was totally new. And I loved seeing his hands like that because I went, I don't know if he is possessed. And then when they showed his hands, I went, oh, okay. No, that makes sense.
yeah.
So I thought that was a really neat, again, something unique, something totally original, which I liked.
And again, really well done because Mirta mentions it at one point, and Jimmy's like, no, he's just like that. He's got autism.
Right.
But then when she goes out and looks at him in the car, she tells Jimmy again that he's possessed. And Jimmy at first is like, no, I told you he's just autistic. And she's like, no, look at him. And she opens the door, and that's when you see what you just described.
Yeah. What a great scene.
It's creepy as hell.
Yeah.
That was one of the more effective moments.
I totally agree. Yep.
But then what happens to Jair? Oh my God.
Oh, which I did love too. Well, I don't know if this is the moment you're talking about, but when he comes in to see his grandma, and he's talking normal, like, I mean, he's just, you know, it's like he has no autism. I mean, he just walks in and talks to his grandma, goes behind her, and I mean, obviously we've been with this character for a lot of this movie, so you know that's not how he usually acts. So, and then of course, you know, something's going to happen to grandma because he goes right next to her.
And I would like to point out and give a shout out to the actor who played Jair. His name is Emilio Vodanovic.
Nice.
Because at that moment, you realize that he was acting autistic.
Yeah.
Just the fact that until that moment, you can't tell if they got an actual autistic actor or if they got another actor. He just did that part so well.
I agree. Yep. I totally agree.
And then, like I mentioned in the 3-minute recap, then we get to the end of the movie, and oh my God, what a creepy moment. First, we find out that the little kid, Uriel's brother,
right,
was told by voices in his head to go kill the cleaner that was on his way to clean Uriel at the beginning of the movie.
So creepy.
And the kid, he shot the cleaner, then he cut him up, he sliced him up, and he fed pieces of the cleaner to his pigs.
Yeah.
And he says that he ate from the cleaner as well.
Yeah, dude. Come on. It's gnarly.
I don't know. At that moment, I kind of got a feeling that no matter what they did, it was a little bit helpless. Like the demon was already out there.
I think I did too. Because I mean,
So,
I'm
not sure. I'm not sure. But then we have the part where Jair is inside the house and his dad finally has given him green apple ice cream. And then Jair starts to cough, which kind of reminded me of Hereditary, because you're already in this moment where a person is like having just a little health episode. But at the same time, we know as the audience that Jair was possessed. He's got to still be possessed, right?
Right.
So he starts coughing up, and then his dad comes up to start to help him by putting his fingers in his mouth. And first you think the movie is going to just have Jair bite down on his fingers,
right?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking at first.
But you know what, buddy? This is when evil lurks. That would happen in any other horror movie, not this one. In this one, he starts to cough up blood. And then Pedro starts to pull bits of hair, strings of hair out of Jair's mouth. And then after he pulls out a bunch of hair, Jair kind of spits up the charm bracelet, and you realize that, he ate his freaking grandmother.
And I love whoever did the sound effects was fantastic, because the moment that that hair hits the ground and it's kind of gloopy and gloppy with blood, you just hear the splash, and I just went, ugh. It was so, they did a great job with that scene. It was disgusting.
But probably my favorite part of that scene is one tiny little moment that if you look away for a second, you might miss it. The camera is looking down at Jair from Pedro's point of view. And for just a second, Jair's just like staring ahead as an autistic would. But then he just his eyes flicker over to Pedro for a second. He glances at his dad. And it's just like the curtain being lifted for 1 second. Did you notice that?
I did not. That's amazing.
Yeah, if you can stomach it, just go watch that part again. Because it's a really cool moment, because it's just like, it's like an actor breaking character for a millisecond, but he's not breaking character. It's the demon breaking character, basically.
I like that. Oh, that's creepy. That's really good.
Jumping to the music, what
Mm,
did you think
mhm.
of that? Did you notice the music in this one?
I didn't really. I feel like, yeah, I know. Usually I do, but it didn't stick out to me, I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah,
This movie had a gorgeous musical score.
right on, man.
It was by a composer named Pablo Fu,
Okay.
F-U-U,
Mhm.
F-U. Pablo Fu, and I've never heard of him.
Mhm.
And it was absolutely gorgeous. It's got all these acoustic guitars and then some strings that come in. But the acoustic guitar music is what really drew me in.
Nice.
And I wouldn't say it had like a recognizable theme,
Right.
but just the guitar, just the feel of the music. It almost kind of had that Last of Us type feel.
Oh. And I love Gustavo Santaolalla. I think he's brilliant who does The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I need to listen to this one then. I think I just need to listen to it, not watch anything, but actually just sit and listen to the music. So
Just watch the beginning of the movie before things go crazy. Like
Okay.
the music starts right away when they're walking through the field towards the torn apart body.
Okay.
Yeah, just give it a chance.
Acoustic guitar. And if it's anything like Gustavo Santaolalla, I'll be happy. All right, buddy. I think we covered this movie, man.
Yeah, that's
pretty
all.
well.
That's all my notes. I talked about the scenes I really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, me too. So let's do 3 questions.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
All right, my friend. Question number 1. This one will be interesting. What is the best death or kill in When Evil Lurks?
Okay, we've talked about how we don't necessarily want to see kids die in
Right.
horror movies.
Right.
But going over all the deaths in this movie, we've got Armando, who was axed in the face by his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then his wife, Jimena, who axed herself in the face. Vicky's killed by the dog.
Mhm.
Sabrina is killed when Leo slams his truck into her. We never actually see what happens to Leo, though, which is interesting.
True.
Santino is killed by his demon mother. And then Mirta is killed by the children. And then the
Right.
little girl, we didn't talk about the little girl just hitting her in the head with the hammer over and over.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Over
That
and
was-
over and over.
That was another one that was like, stop.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Uriel, who I put a question mark next to because he supposedly was still alive until the moment that Pedro killed him by bludgeoning him with the candlestick or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Killed with a candlestick in the auditorium. Get it? Do you get that reference?
Let me ask you, Professor Plum, do I get it?
So, strangely enough, I am going to say that I think the best death in this movie was little Vicky, man. I hated it, but
Right.
that scene was so horrifying and so well done. And I have not felt that much anxiety and tension in a scene in a horror movie in a very long time.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that's it. What about you?
So that's a great moment. I would say Armando and Jimena.
But which one? You got to pick one.
Oh, man. Then I guess I'm going to do Jimena because even though I will say Armando's like it was such a quick going from bang with the gun to the quick axe. You're just like, whoa. But her kneeling down and just going crazy on her face is, like I said, something I haven't seen. So I think
It's a
that
good one.
was pretty effective, man.
It's on the movie poster, so it's a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
All
right.
Okay.
Question number 2. Was this movie scary?
Actually, I think it is.
Mhm.
Definitely, I was very creeped out during the entire movie.
Mhm.
The idea that if you just miss these rules, this demon can possess almost anybody.
Yeah.
It is stated that the demon cannot possess certain people. And
Right.
in the course of this movie, you get the idea that would be Mirta, Jimmy, and Pedro.
Right.
But the fact that other people can get possessed, the fact that an entire town turns off all of its lights and
Yeah.
electricity because the demons are attracted to it.
Mhm.
The fact that demon Sabrina finds them simply because of Pedro's fear for his children.
Right, dude. Yeah.
I think a lot of that is terrifying. And the fact that this movie ends with a physical demon child walking out into the world.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to happen from that.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I think this is a kind of a pretty disturbing, intense, anxious movie. What about you?
Ditto. Everything you just said. Yeah. Disturbing, creepy, intense. It's all of those things. It's not, and then bleak. Like I said at the beginning. I mean, there is no happiness at the end of this movie. None. But yeah, I can see people being a little freaked out with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've heard of people being scared, so I know for a fact that it's scary to a lot of people.
Yeah. All right, man. Did you have fun with horror?
No. Nope. Nope. I think this is a great movie. I think this is one of the best horror movies of the year. It's not fun at all.
Mm-mm.
At no time was I having fun watching this movie. I was actually hesitant to watch this movie a second time.
Wow, yeah.
But the few times that I have decided not to watch a movie a second time for the podcast, I always realize that there's things I forgot to talk about after we're done recording. So I've made it a point to definitely watch a movie a second time so I can take notes so that we can both remember things. So
love it.
What about you? Did you have fun with horror, Andrew?
No, it's not a fun movie, but it is a very well-made movie. We've covered some like this before where it's just a good movie. Like it's well made. It's great acting, great story, everything, but it's not fun. But I highly recommend it.
You know what, buddy?
What?
You complete me.
¿Y si la maldad finalmente me encontró en la cabeza de Jaime? ¿Y si hubiera infectado este pueblo solo por mí?
¿Por qué no se lo llevó a usted en vez de a mi hijo?
Porque el que tiene miedo sos vos.
Andrew, it is time. Time to find out what our next movie is.
Yeah, buddy.
As you said earlier before we started recording, I was not going to be able to guess this one.
Nope.
I'm very hesitant. I'm very anxious to hear what you're picking. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also excited. So what are we watching?
All right, man. So it's the holiday seasons. So I'm going to do some holiday stuff. This is one I've been curious about. It came out in 2015. I've been curious about it. I've heard good things, surprisingly. However, last year I also chose a different Christmas movie, and it did not pan out well for us. So, but this is a movie, like I said, 2015. It's called A Christmas Horror Story, and it's 4 anthology films in one, which I love anthologies. I love Christmas. Like I said, I've heard good things, so who knows? But it's one I figured we're there, man. We're at the season. I gotta pick something.
A Christmas Horror Story.
I can almost guarantee you've seen the cover of it.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. It has a pretty, I feel like, famous cover of Krampus fighting Santa.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, God. Yep, I've seen that cover.
Yep. We're doing it.
It's an anthology, huh?
Yeah, it's an anthology. I guess it's 4 stories, 4 directors. I'm curious, man, but I had to pick something, man. It's Christmas time.
Yeah, we definitely shouldn't do Krampus by Michael Dougherty, which is an actually really good movie.
Well, I left because we'll have a couple movies in December. So I said, if Scotty loves that movie, I don't know.
Actually, this movie's going to be in December.
All right. So this one and then another one. Wink. Which I see your Krampus shirt right now.
Oh, yeah. By the way, it's really funny because you picked this movie before we recorded today, right?
Yeah.
So you picked this movie with Krampus in it. And I just want to tell everybody out there that today I am wearing a Krampus t-shirt distributed by Cavity Colors that Andrew bought me for my birthday in June. Yeah. But I haven't worn it until after Halloween because I figured this is a kind of a Christmas shirt.
Heck yeah, dude.
And I do not wear Christmas shirts or do anything Christmassy in the summer at all.
Right.
But I actually love this shirt. So thank you, buddy, for this beautiful birthday present.
You're very welcome, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Where can I actually, Andrew, where can I watch A Christmas Story?
Hey, let me tell you, it's a great
Christmas
question.
Horror Story.
A Christmas Horror Story. You can do it on Shudder, AMC Plus, or if you want to not spend any money, it's on Tubi.
Okay.
So there you
Shudder.
go. Those are the three. But Shudder, yeah.
Shudder for me.
Shudder. Yep.
All right. Well, there we go.
There we go. We'll see how this goes, man. It's a gamble, but hey, it's Christmas.
Will we like it? Will we think that this should take A Christmas Story's place on AMC as the movie that plays 24 hours in a marathon?
Only time will tell. But it
And
is
by
on
the
AMC
way-
Plus, so
What was that? Wait, what was the name of the movie we did last year? I can't remember.
oh gosh. Oh no. It was
Oh,
about
no.
Robot Santa.
Yeah,
It was
Christmas Bloody
called-
Christmas or
Yep.
something like that.
I think that's it. Christmas Bloody Christmas. I'm pretty sure that was it. Whoops.
What an impression it made on us. But you know what? I was going to say that it has a lot of fans. I know people, let me just say real quick.
Lay it on me.
We've done a lot of movies, and there's a few movies that we didn't care for as much.
Fair.
And my instinct when I see people mention that I love this movie is why? But
Yeah.
my second thought right after that is that's awesome.
Yeah.
We did that Christmas Bloody Christmas last year. Hellfest is another one that we did,
yeah,
I
dude.
believe, our first year on
Mhm.
Halloween. And it was okay. We both kind of didn't care for it a little bit. We had our issues with it. But you know what? People love that movie.
Nice.
And I love that.
I agree.
Somebody yesterday even said that they liked the last Fantastic Four movie, Four Stick. And you know
Hey.
what? I hated it, but I love that somebody loves that movie.
Me too. I never even saw it. So,
It brings them joy.
and that's what's great. And you know what, everybody? We don't have to agree on movies, but by gum, we can still be friends.
Yes, as long as we have joy when we watch the movies that we love, it brings joy to the world. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful episode.
Oh my gosh. I love you.
Everybody, if you want to find us, we're on social media. We're everywhere. If you want to do us a huge favor, you know what? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It would help us get out there. We've said it before and we'll say it again.
Oh, I think our last one was around Christmas time. So let's hope someone puts something there.
But you know what? We've had lots of good comments and stuff. Like, we have our faithful listeners.
Yeah. and it's awesome. We love
Susan's always out there. Edward listens. Edward will listen until here. Aurora
Yes.
is wonderful.
it. Yes, absolutely.
And we love our listeners.
We do.
So we love
you
you.
all.
And Andrew, I love you.
And Scotty, I love you.
Have a wonderful 2 weeks. Until I talk to you again.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Pa, Jael se hizo caca. Se hizo caca.